Okay, folks, welcome back. And even though it looks like I've been off to a slow start, I've actually been working on stuff all night. I just haven't been doing it online because it's a lot of different stages and things like that. So let's get some things out of the way here. See if we can get my work area back. And we're going to work on some stuff that is going to transfer over into tomorrow morning as well. Yesterday we were working on these 3D printed models by Miniature Tanks Company. And we assembled almost all of them, except I needed to finish up the M15 half track, which I finished this morning. I did finish that this morning. And I went ahead, when I got back, I went ahead and primed all these items so they're primed. And we'll take a look at, we primed them, and we also gave them the base color of this ammo olive drab base, and it is a weird ass brown color. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to give this the strong tone wash, which is going to make it even more brown looking. But when I was talking about Vallejo used to make their original olive drab got reformulated. Let me see if I can find that little. I made a little swath. Yeah. It used to be called this brown violet. It's been discontinued. It's been replaced by this olive drab 887. They're both are 887. Just the original one was called brown violet, and they're kind of close. But the brown violet is definitely the most brown one of them all. Plus, there's this olive brown that I found. This is almost like a Vietnam period, really charcoalish type color. So this is the olive. This is the olive drab base, and I'll be damned if it's not almost an exact match for brown violet. So brown violet is still available. It's just now made by Ammo. That's good. I'm glad I kept this because to me it looks way too brown. This is the US olive drab, which is the other color, with the brown wash on it. So, and we've got a couple of Jeeps here. The M18 Hellcat. And the M15, which, if you're watching my feed last night, I was like, I need to make this so that it has one of those rare earth magnets and I can rotate it as I want to. I don't need to do that because they were smart enough to make it so that it has like a little thing where it rotates. And this thing actually sits inside. They even mentioned in the video, don't bother gluing this, because you can raise it and lower it. Let me get the super readers on, and I'll show you guys what this thing looks like put together. And I'm not going to use the rare earth magnet. It's just flat out not needed. This sits in here. It's just being held under by tension. And this is a 37 millimeter cannon with 250s next to it. And you can raise this as you need to, just to make it look the part. And this is the M15 half track. Now, this might be something of interest to some people. I use Corgi half tracks for my Americans. Okay, now this is supposed to be 1/72nd scale. I use Corgi half tracks my Americans. I've got 3 of them, I think. And they used to be like $5 a piece or something like that at the Toys R Us or Kmart or wherever the hell I got them at. And I suspected that there were 1/72nd scale, but there was no real way to prove that, other than I took the dimensions and kind of scaled them out. I'm like, yeah, they're pretty close to 1/72nd scale. Oh, this is 1/72nd scale according to Miniature Tanks Company. And if you put them next to each other, I'll be damned if they're not the same frickin' size. So, yeah, if you can get a hold of these things, this is perfect 1/72nd scale. Perfect. Okay. Or damn near perfect. Some nerd burglar will be on there. That's off by a smidgen. Yeah, you can't tell. We don't measure in smidgens here. So we're going to go ahead and give these things that we primed a wash so we can fool with them in the morning. Okay, and then we're going to do a deep dive on some figures. I don't know if it's going to be that deep, but we're going to do a dive on some figures. So we're going to leave Ethel over here, half track. This is all die cast, one piece. And I don't want to paint on this. That's a no-no. I don't want to look at that. I don't want to look at that kind of a mess. Go for it, painting. All right, man. Welcome back. I want to paint on something. It's not this. Well, the easiest thing is just take this cutting board and be gone. Bye-bye. All right, I don't mind painting on this. Although my supply of this stuff is dwindling fast. Let's take our jewelry off. And we did a couple of experiments this morning. I didn't want to make a video about it because I didn't know if they were going to be successful. And they weren't. There's some 3D printed lines on here, which in some areas are kind of stepped almost like a pyramid. Really, and the place where they're the most noticeable is up here by the on the engine deck. So I figured maybe I could fill them in with either PVA. I pulled some PVA out here. I pulled some watered down Vallejo plastic putty, and I also pulled out, items I already had. I also used acrylic medium by Liquitex, and it didn't budge no matter what. So I'm just going to forget about it. It's not that noticeable. I am concerned when I go to dry brush this for weathering that it's really going to stand out. So we'll just see how it goes. But that is like the only gripe I have about this thing. The material that they made out of this stuff is almost indestructible. It's really solid. It's not flimsy. It goes together really well. They're inexpensive. So let's finish these up and then we can make a decision on what you guys think about them. All right, strong tone it is. So we're going to grab one of these. And you can't really sand this stuff. The material is so resilient, it's resistant to sanding. Maybe if it was like a big section, I could sand all that down, but all these little nooks and crannies, we're just going to move forward with it, and I think it'll turn out. I think we're going to be happy with the results. And the only reason I say that is because, this that one's not flowing real well. I'm real positive about the magic I can make here. Yeah, let's do this one so we can be done this week. We're just going to brush this strong tone over it. And it's going to look even browner. Yeah, here's where you're going to be able to see the little step thing. But this is a vehicle that's not readily available in 1/72nd scale. This one and the M10 are very difficult to come by for whatever reason. I think it's going to turn out just fine. When you put decals on it, weather it. Like I said, I got off to a later start just going online with you guys. Not that I haven't been working on this stuff for a couple hours. As I have. I needed to prime, and then I needed that for that to dry, and they got one movie out there that I saw a couple years ago that features a Hellcat prominently, and it's the third series of the Saints and Soldiers, whatever it's called. It's about a Hellcat crew, and it's got a couple of functioning vehicles for reenactor vehicles. One of them's a Hellcat, and one of them's a Mark III with a long 60, long 50. I'm sorry, a 60 caliber 50. And the plot line is just junk. But it has a couple vehicles, period vehicles, and completely, absolutely pristinely clean vehicles. Hey Lewis, what's up, man? I'm working on tanks. I'm sort of working on tanks. Sarmatian Heavy Cavalry. That's a lot of armored dudes. The closest guys I've painted that look like them are the heavy cavalry for my Armenians. They're cataphracts as well, but that was a long time ago. I think it was my third or fourth army. Long, long time. And I'm probably going to put junk on the side of this. Am I working? I'm actually not working on tanks. Technically, they're not tanks. I bought stuff from Miniature Tanks Company, but what I bought was not tanks. One tank destroyer, an anti-aircraft half-track, and 2 Jeeps and a gatehouse. They make other stuff. They make civilian vehicles, too. Those are particularly cool. Yeah, I got my 15 millimeter guys in storage. And I don't know when they're going to come out of storage, if at all. I'm not in a hurry to do them. I spent the last 18 years doing nothing but ancients and medievals. It's time to get back to my World War II roots. I actually signed up for Huracan today, of all days. I know you're probably planning on going. I think you were signed up to do some stuff, but I had a hard time deciding what I wanted to do. There just isn't anything out there just calling to me. I want to do this, but I'm not going to run games at the con. So, idea of rushing to do stuff for a convention, those days are well behind me. I'm never doing that again. So I was having a hard time deciding what exactly I wanted to play because I don't even want to play that much. So for the first time, I'm actually not going to stay at the convention. I'm gonna. The wife's coming down. We're staying somewhere else. I don't want my wife to stay at that hotel at the convention. That's embarrassing when the freaking fire alarm goes off. What was that, like a year ago? And freaking flooded everything. That was just no. The only hotel convention I've been at that was worth a damn was is the one in Lancaster. The one in downtown Lancaster is that's a nice property. But I'm not really dying to play anything, so I said, come on down. We'll stay somewhere else, and we'll have dinner together. So I'm not gonna stay for the night session. Which last time I stayed for the night session, I really didn't do anything because I was exhausted. I was exhausted by 9:30. But I really want is a flea market. So if you got any 1/72nd scale stuff you don't want, let me know. So I said that's what I'm looking for. I really don't need anything, but that's what's motivating me to get anything. I I think oh this is a bummer. There's a one little piece of let's see if we can get rid of that. Are these the super readers? They are. Okay. Now the only thing that's left is to take out the contacts. There's a little piece of dust that attached to this. You can either do this now or later. All right. By the time we add the stuff on there, it won't even be noticeable. I don't mind tattling on myself when I make mistakes and stuff because you can see, hey, I make lots of mistakes and I know how to fix them. If you think you're going to get things done the right way and everything's going to work out just fine, you're living in a fantasy land. Been going back to ancients and medievals after years of nothing but Napoleonics. I don't stay at the hotel either. I have a vacation club property down the road. Much nicer, cleaner, very convenient. Yeah. Yeah, my wife's not staying at that place. That place is a borderline shithole. I've always stayed there just to support the guys, but they can handle me not staying at the hotel one time. You know, when the convention moved from Tampa to Orlando, lots of people cried. All the Tampa people that had always had to. I'm not saying you're one of them. I don't know whether you went back in that day, but whenever they moved in 2006, they were having a cow because they were going to have to stay in a hotel now. Well, what about the rest of us that live in a place in Florida where they're never going to hold the convention and always have to stay at a hotel? Like, oh, I'm going to have to spend night at home. Yeah, because they were used to going home, you know? So, I actually didn't mind the hotel that was in Tampa. The problem is because it was actually kind of a cool concept where it's kind of like an atrium and everything. You know, it's kind of a cool concept. Now, the neighborhood it was in was just a war zone, a lost war zone. Um, but hey, I didn't ask them to move. They're never going to hold it in Gainesville. There's just not enough people here, you know. And I don't necessarily mind traveling, but as long as it's not in the Panhandle, man, there ain't nothing out there. The part of Florida, Alabama didn't want. Y'all want that? Hell no, that's some inbred mothers out there. I lived in this area my whole life, and I've never been out to Destin or Panama City. I've never been to Panama City. I think one time we went to Pensacola when I was a kid. I don't remember if we went to a museum or not. We were on our way to New Orleans with a family. This would have been like 1988 or something like that. That's it. I've never set foot out there. It's just too far out there. Spring Hill. Used to commute to and from Tampa. Okay, well. Yeah, I went to Spray Gunner last weekend. That was, man, I love going to that place out in Oldsmar. Oh, here's another boogered thing. There must have been little pieces of dust. Just a little. I noticed it. I actually noticed it when I was priming. I saw there was two. This has one in the. Well, they've moved on. There's going to be battle damage and stuff on them, little scrapes and things that I could like to paint on there. It won't be noticeable. So everybody's familiar with the M16 half track, which that's the one that has the quad 50s. This one has a pair of 50s and a 37 millimeter and a tank and an aircraft gun, and the fact that the Yabos weren't really flying, they use this for ground support a lot, and they were issued in the same percentage as the M16s. The M16s and these guys operated together, and they were in the same proportions. So that's kind of nice. It's not like they only had one of these for every 10 M16s or something like that. No, it's 1 to 1. It's got some. You know what? I think I'm gonna be perfectly happy with it. I think I'm gonna be perfectly happy. It's gonna look really cool when it's got the decals and everything on them. I like painting American vehicles because people are like, American vehicles, don't take any, they're boring. Well, they are if you freaking make them boring. If you don't give them any personality, you give all the personality to the German tanks, which that's easy to freaking do. Then these are boring. Don't make them boring. This is going to have a nickname. Both of these are going to have a nickname. And just because they're olive drab doesn't mean you can't make them look, make them look something. I like painting Russians too. You can make the Russians interesting. I mean, sure, they're not as interesting as, all the paint schemes for the Germans, but, you know, not all tanks can be. I know so many people you'll see that all they do is paint German stuff. And don't get me wrong, I like painting German stuff too. There's some Germans out here as we speak. But, they got to fight somebody too. And then what we're going to do after this dries in the morning, we're going to dry brush the base color over it. And we're going to leave some of this wash in the crevices. And then we'll work our way up. It's really pretty simple. It's just multiple steps. And what's even better than it's really simple to replicate. So if I go and I make, 100 vehicles, they look like they're made by the same person. Not like every one of them is different. It may not be important to some people, but it is for me. I don't want to build something and then realize, man, these don't look as good as the ones I did the last pair. Okay. There we go. Now, I brought these guys in on purpose because this stuff is sticky and I don't want to transfer. Nope, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for one of these. I swear, as soon as I put on glasses, I turn into mole man. I can see stuff here and like, you know, tunnel vision. Now, this actually has a little bit of a pattern which actually works on this. Like, for instance, this looks like those gun tubs that they had on, like, on battleships, like the 40 millimeter gun tubs. They've got, like, these little sides on them that are really kind of wafer thin. But if you look at them, the way they're painted, and we went to go see the North Carolina relatively recently, they have an uneven finish. Even Navy ships, they'll have, where you can almost see, they almost look like, not every ship, but there's many Navy ships that look like they, they're almost made like balsa wood planes, like balsa wood World War I planes, and that they're like, you can see it, they have a skeleton and there's dope stretched over. Well, obviously there's not made of dope because you wouldn't be able to cover them, but it's metal, but it's uneven like that to a little degree, and this has a little bit of that going on, so that actually works in its favor. So I think by the time we're all said and done, we're going to be pretty happy with this. Now, one of the things I have to do tomorrow is I'm going to go buy some tubing because I want to find some tubing that the 50 caliber can slide in and out of. This didn't come with a 50 caliber, but I've got another one of these floating around here. Let me just grab one of the ones that's already here, and I'll show you. Let's grab this Shermie. And I guess I had the foresight for some reason not to glue these 50 calibers down, so I could actually turn them. Well, not only can I turn them, I can pull them out. So I'm going to put a little tube inside the cupola of this M18 so that I can slide this on and off because it didn't come with one. And then we'll be golden. So I'm going to take this to the store. I'm going to go to Hobby Lobby and see if they have one like that. I had a big bag of like aluminum tubing, but man, I had that probably from like 1990. It's probably disappeared and ever. Now I wouldn't have used it until like now. So I'm probably going to have to get some, whether it's made of plastic or made out of aluminum or something like that. It should work just fine. But that's what I'm going to plan on doing, and that way the 50s can go both ways. Because this didn't come with 50s, and the Plastic Soldier Company, I wish you could buy those 50s by themselves because they're not. The Plastic Soldier stuff company is very robust things, Actually, these are really robust as well. They just don't have a 50. Let's put the super readers back on. had a guy that had posted on one of the 1/72nd scale news groups. I mentioned this a couple of months ago. I want to say it was in June. I was getting ready to go on my cruise at the time. I think it was in June, which is unusual. I've never taken a cruise in June before. And he's like, hey, I got some stuff for sale. It's all a bunch of 1/72nd scale stuff. So I contacted him off Facebook. I said, what you got? And he showed me some screenshots. And I'm like, okay, well, do you have any like M10 tank destroyers? I don't know. I can't look through the boxes. I'm like, well, how the fuck am I going to? He wanted to sell it like a lot. Like, nobody's going to buy a freaking lot of stuff. Unless you're going to buy it like really, really cheap. So he finally said, you can come over. And the reason I contacted him is because he lived like really close by. He was like in Trenton or something like that. Somewhere it's like within 20 minutes of me. I'm like, man, I'll go look through your stuff or whatever. And, but I don't know, it just didn't work out. And I hey, did you sell your stuff? The whole thing is you couldn't tell me what he had. I'm like, I didn't want to, I was getting ready to go on vacation. Stressed out with all the shit I had to do for work before the vacation. And then it just didn't work out. But he showed me some pictures and it really wasn't anything there that was really grabbed me. I don't want to grab any 1/72nd scale. Like, he had Polish stuff. And, like Polish 1939 stuff. And I'm not getting into that right now. That's just, the Polish stuff's actually cool. It's the German Panzers during that time period that just look like shit. With not having the little turret bustles on them and also having the white crosses, that just looks like, the Swiss army's coming after you. It just looks wrong. So I'm not a big fan of the Germans in that period. I actually have never gamed or painted anything land-wise for the Germans before, I was going to say Barbarossa. No, but technically Afrika Korps is a little bit before Barbarossa. They started appearing in like April of, maybe even March, but to be safe, April of 1941. I don't do Germans before April of 1941. I don't like the German tanks, not those little overhangs. They look weird. They look weird to me. As they say in Britain, it looks wrong to my eye. Now, I don't know what's going to be painted gunmetal on here. I'm pretty sure that the entire 37 millimeter gun is not the case. Now, the 50s are, but we're going to give everything a coating of this, even if we have to come back and fix it. So what we're going to plan on doing is give this a wash, and then we're going to look at some figures, and maybe prime one or two of them, and then we're going to catch some shut-eye, because we'll be back up early in the morning. I'm used to going to sleep by 10, so that'll be about right. You guys that are night owls, well, you don't wake up 5 o'clock in the morning every morning. I'm used to waking up at 5 a.m. every morning. Doesn't matter if it's a Saturday, Sunday, work day. People think I'm crazy, but it's like, I think you're crazy when you have to wake up earlier on a work day than you do normally on your day off. That's another reason to dread going to work. So for me, it's like, if I can get up at that time to go to work, then I can get up at the same time and do what I want to do. And it's worked for me for a long time. I've been doing that for decades. Probably 20 years. More than 20 years, actually. And I used to get up at 4. Now, 10 o'clock rolls around, I'm not worth a shit. Now, this is the frame of the window of the Jeep the window is down. And the reason why I didn't glue this one is because we're going to have a little star on the hood of the Jeep. And if we do that, we're never going to be able to do the decal because this is covering over some of it. So we need to kind of plan how that's going to be. I don't want that resting there. I want it flipped like this. I said I want it flipped the other way. I'm trying to do something with my left hand. God help me. I don't know if there's anybody more useless with their left hand than me. Okay. Right. This one. These are probably the most robust Jeeps I've ever seen. Now, if you sit on one, you're still going to break it, but they're not fiddly at all. I don't have crews to ride inside of them. That's fine. They sit off to the side. You're really not going to be riding these in a battle in a skirmish game. You're going to show up, you're going to dismount as soon as you can, or you're going to get punished severely. And the good thing, I've done enough of these vehicles using this method that I'm happy with the end result that I don't even question it. I'm gonna paint all the little seats and everything. I think they're gonna look great. I think I'm gonna be happy with them. See if we can make them shine here. these little Jeeps, Kubelwagens, all this stuff that's this size, it's just so damn delicate. These are the things that I say, people are like, well, why do you put your vehicles on stands? Because you need them for little things that are flimsy like this. Now, these Jeeps, they don't need stands. These things are solid. However, I don't want some of my vehicles on stands and others not on stands, so they all have to go, just for consistency. And it gives you a little bit of opportunity to like almost make like a little mini diorama because you've got some groundwork that's around the vehicle. Maybe some brass that's growing on there. I didn't think it was that controversial. There's some people like freaking Nazis about my vehicles aren't going to be on stands. Okay, well, you do whatever you want with your vehicles, man. I'm just telling you, I got to protect the stuff that I'm spending some time on. I'm actually, I'd be perfectly happy with vehicles not on stands. However, some things just, they're going to fall apart if they don't. I'm going to lay this one horizontally. And I'm going to do the same thing with this one. What else we got? We painted that. We get the guardhouse is a totally different animal. I think we're good with this. So I'm actually going to, we'll look at the figures in the morning. I'm going to let this stuff percolate and we'll see you guys in the morning. Those of you that are morning watchers. We'll see you in the morning and we'll continue. And this will be ready to continue on. So, anyhow, thanks for stopping.